My name is Olga Ramora, and I'm a co-founder of Cosmic Vibrations and a founder of Moonly mobile app. For about 15 years, I have been playing music professionally. I'm a member of the oboe orchestra. Then I studied at British School of Design as a brand designer, graphic designer, illustrator, and also finished a course in interactive design. I managed to work with many different startups as an interface designer and as a brand designer. The last time I was working in a game company where I was making a web interface for an application about fantasy games. And I felt like starting something of my own because I was surrounded by people who made startups. My partner was a startup creator. By that time, he had launched a series of applications for children. So I was gripped by this world and the aura of constant communication, travel, a desire to be a creator, and not be afraid to try something, not be afraid to make mistakes. In the beginning, when I was trying to make my own product, I came up with an idea to make a mobile app about the lunar calendar so that I myself would know when the full moon or new moon is, what the signs of the zodiac are, and the moon in these signs of the zodiac, how it affects our emotional state. I quit my job and I got totally engaged in this process. I was making a mobile application all by myself for 6 months. I had different emotions, and during this period I listened to the mantras of Snatam Kaur and Diva Primo every day. And somehow, without even realizing it, I felt it was getting easier for me. It helped me with my difficult emotional states. At the same time, I was listening to lectures from Vedic knowledge guides. Stories about the moon have always fascinated me. I remember while I was walking along the alley one night, I saw the full moon, stopped and looked at it, as if something was calling to me. I felt like my life was going to change a lot. It was a magical moment. I didn't realize what was coming next, but such magical moments have already happened to me several times. At the age of 4, I saw a book about little Krishna and was so inspired by this picture that I wanted to draw him. This is one of the most vivid childhood memories. When I found felt-tip pens and was trying to draw just as beautifully, feathers, wrinkles on his hands, the oil he was eating. And when I compared my picture with the cover, I realized it didn't work out and I was very upset. Later, when I looked at my drawing, I thought that for a 4-year-old girl, it actually turned out to be detailed and beautiful. So I really wanted to do well then, and that picture inspired me a lot. Probably that is why deep inside me I always felt a response to the pantheon of Indian gods, Indian philosophy, Eastern Jyotish astrology. By chance, I came across an announcement about studying Eastern Jyotish astrology, and for 1.5 years I was studying this ancient science. What had a huge effect on me was women's circles. There, such beautiful women gathered, young girls and other women around them. Just being next to them changed your energy. They shared quite simple but very effective practices for revealing your energy and reaching creative potential. These practices were connected with drawing, sounding, voice, and body movements. This is a dance in a circle in order to feel your wild self. Some women managed to awaken their animals. Others were engaged in a dance of beauty. And through these primal, wild interactions, we could see each other for real and learn about other sides of our personality that we had not discovered yet. For example, you look into the eyes of another woman and see there is the power you also have inside, but you do not have full access to it yet. You feel peace, self-acceptance. Sometimes, though, it is very painful and difficult to see it in someone else, in such a beautiful and bright manifestation, and yet not feel this way about yourself. But this is what gives me great impulse and makes me truly believe I can also become like this, beautiful, bright, feeling very comfortable in any situation, in my resource, in my energy. A meditation conducted by our guide turned out to be a great gift for me. A very deep experience. A friend or messenger came to everyone, and it was at that moment when a spiritual teacher came to me in the form of energies, in the form of Buddha and Ganesha. He was talking to me in the language of energies. This is when I started unpacking brighter and brighter through dance. I realized that communication in the language of energies is the most intimate, direct communication. The exchange of information feels much more subtle compared to verbal communication. These are some other dimensions of existence. It was very unusual, and my guide told me not to devalue it in any way because it was very difficult to believe in these images. Sometimes it may seem like it was just a fantasy. After a while, it all started to unpack. My designing resources began to unpack. I started making drafts and designs much faster and more beautifully, which allowed me to create the application quicker. Also, somewhere inside, I was more convinced that I was on the right path and that I needed to keep going and listen to the clues of the universe, space, and go on. The team and people who create Moonly are very special. They are very sincere and kind-hearted people. It is important for us to spread the purest knowledge as much as possible. This is especially difficult in the area of esotericism and psychology, as there are a lot of different tools and practices, techniques. And one technique does not always fit everyone. There may be different keys for different people. That is why we do not focus on a single approach. For example, only psychology or shamanism, or only Eastern philosophy or astrological tools, such as upayas. We collect a lot of techniques, test them ourselves, and translate them into the most simple and understandable way in order to get across our messages and tell how these approaches work. But most importantly, we show that it is not the tools that work, but our consciousness, our faith, our willpower. And only our intention, our powerful intention to heal, and all other things are just tools for our consciousness. Our team is organized in such a way that we can always help and learn from each other, interview each other, exchange books, and study together. For example, last year we got enrolled in a course by a tarot master. We studied the Pappas system, the French school, and now we are preparing to add this to the app. It is very important to us to use all the tools ourselves first, in order to really test how they work, and then give people what we truly believe ourselves. These are our main principles. We write a lot of posts and articles based on my personal experience, my therapy sessions and insights. As over the past few years of my journey, I got married, I set up my own business, I got divorced. I worked on myself a lot so I could get rid of destructive programs in male-female relationships and also help everyone around me get some insights. I dived into studying male-female relations, harmonization and balance of the right and left parts of my body so that they work well together, because in fact our external partner is only a reflection of the internal patterns of our body. It's just a projection of what's inside. I cleared up a lot of my kin programs, stories of mothers, grandmothers, other women on both maternal and paternal lines of my kin. And I'd like to mention that it is a very important topic that we are now starting to cover with the help of meditations and articles. The topic of gaining the power of your kin, connecting with your ancestors, including everyone into the flow of life, the tree of life. To work on the kin programs, you can use different practices: drawing or weaving the tree of life, meditations. This is probably one of the key topics that I study myself. And that we focus on in the application. At some point, I began to communicate with different guides, masters, healers who use these tools, and more. I started taking interviews, and on their basis, we created and continue creating articles. Then these interviews got so interesting that we launched podcasts. We select masters very carefully, only if they fit our field, if we ourselves have already participated in their ceremonies and practices, if they have worked with our bodies, with my body. First, I go to a person myself, learn from them, and then come back to ask them to share their knowledge with our Moonly channel. These are tarot masters, ruin masters, sadhu masters, body masters who practice rebalancing. These are psychologists in different traditions: Gestalt psychology, quantum psychology, psychogenetics. Very different approaches, but all progressive and modern, not classical psychology. There are also mediums who work with the angelic planes and can see the structure of the soul through meditation and help heal. I'm interested in constellations, meditations that help a person to move to a new level of consciousness, restructure them at a cellular level, at the level of subtle bodies. A person participates in a healing session with crystal bowls, and without even realizing how it is happening, they are undergoing a restructuring process, and the next day they feel absolutely different. And I'm interested in studying how these tools quickly, efficiently, beautifully, safely, without injuring us, can help us move forward, open up, but in a very gentle way to ourselves. For me, Moonly represents a huge structure that has come to Earth. We listen to the space around us and the universe and get advice on how we can develop this structure better. It has a very powerful, pure intention of healing all of the people who enter its field. That's why it's not just a mobile app or podcasts or women's circles, as well as charitable educational projects. This field is a healing energy consisting of beautiful and pure intentions, skills, and experience of the wise guides we invite in order to expand this field. And they share their wisdom. I feel really happy with this happening. I created this service being in a severe depression, which I managed to get over. But I guess people who come to us are also going through different states. And this is a kind of channel, a healing space, helping through beautiful pictures, kind words, words that say, we understand and it's okay to feel this way. And we can imagine different scenarios why this would happen to you. We give tools to get out of these situations, and in my opinion, one should turn to meditations first. Meditations that can be directly received and listened to through the vibrational channel. This gives me and the whole team a lot of joy and strength to continue doing this project. We began to launch charitable projects. We did a charity concert to help whales and dolphins. We also raised funds for the International Foundation Marine Connection and broadcast the crystal meditation on our Instagram account and website. You can enjoy this concert on our website. I really liked a parallel story about doing creative projects that would draw attention to topics that are interesting and exciting for us first. After the concert, we started making a film about a human who is in contact with nature and is reaching their creative potential through being in the forest. Soon, a film called Forest Stories will be released. I am really happy to be part of this shoot, to interview amazing, very creative people who have changed their lives, moved out of the city, and are exploring ways to live more in touch with nature, while still enjoying basic conveniences and feeling comfortable, exploring ways to interact with nature in the most eco-friendly way. Last year, I experienced a very difficult emotional transition into adulthood. The so-called black night of the soul, or a fall that eventually turns out to be a fall upwards.
Подниматься по утрам мне помогала мысль, что есть Мунли — это то, что помогает другим людям.
The difficulties I experienced was a catalyst for me to pour my heart into this app, to help others going through difficulties too. Now I realize that this project is getting bigger, more mature, and I need to give it more freedom, to let it go into the world more, like a child who's getting older. Well, I don't feel such a close connection with this project anymore, because before it was like an extension of myself. I devoted all my time to it. But now I feel like this project is growing up, and I started to get the team more engaged in the process of its creation, as well as in the process of creative thinking of how this project can develop.
Мышление того, как этот проект может развиваться. И у нас была
Recently, we've had an amazing strategy session where we all realized that we don't see Moonly as an app. We see it as something more, a shop, a space where you can drink tea and listen to meditations.
И магазин, и пространство, где можно попить чай и послушать медитации, пространство целительное, может быть,
A healing space, and maybe in the future it will include retreats in nature and a laboratory where I would like to study even more tools for working with consciousness, like the ancient ones, as well as modern methods, scientific research. Personally, for me, it is something beautiful and big and dear, something that is growing, expanding. And this is a healing field that helps a huge number of people. We also receive feedback, letters of gratitude for showing tools, keys for consciousness that help people discover new dimensions in their lives. The main idea here is that we are creators ourselves. It took me a lot of time to put my will and my soul together into wholeness. I was having a swing of duality for a very long time. I came a long way to realize that we are creators ourselves. But to realize this, we need help. First, we build some foundation, use astrological instruments, affirmations, runes, visit masters, psychologists. But at some point, we understand that we needed all this help to end up at this particular point when we finally realize that the world is limitless, endless, and we can do anything we want if it comes from the heart. And then we become wizards.
Мы становимся волшебниками.